Obviously, our goal is to win the division, but more importantly, I believe it's the way we finished. I think that's going to be more lasting going into these next ball games. And like I said, the proof's right there. We've been doing a lot of good things on offense, defense, and kicking, and it's good to win a tight one like this. Where we had some adversity at the end, I had to pull through that adversity with those 2 fumbles and come together with the last defensive series and the last offensive 2-minute drive.
Matt Eberflus there talking after Monday night's win against the Vikings. The Bears get a much-needed bye week this week before taking on the Lions next Sunday.
Joining us now to talk about it is Kevin Powell from WGN Radio and the host of the WGN Radio Football Podcast. And that was a much-needed win, Kevin.
Much-needed victory going into the bye, and they finished. I mean, you think about they're 4-8 right now. Think about the Denver game they blew late. Think about the Detroit game. They could be 6-6 right now. But that's who they are, right? They were a 4-win team. They found a way to get it done against Minnesota. The defense played great. And credit to Matt Eberflus he's a defensive specialist. That's what he came here for. Sure. He came as a defensive coordinator. The defense has looked really good over the past month or so, and they were dominant against Minnesota. Now, Justin Fields did have the big turnovers late in that game, but he found a way. And he connected with DJ Moore late, set up the field goal, and the Bears got the victory. It wasn't pretty, but it was a victory. And the Justin Fields debate continues, guys. Is he the guy of the future? Is he the long-term solution at quarterback? Right now, the Bears do hold that top overall pick, which brings more questions into it. But I think it does kind of start at the top. Like, what does Kevin Warren think of Ryan Poles? What does Kevin Warren think of Matt Eberflus? What does Kevin Warren think of Justin Fields? And what does Ryan Poles think of Justin Fields?
So you can switch out the quarterback as much as you want, but unless you have everything working, it's not going to work.
Exactly. And when you have that top pick, and right now they have the 1st and 4th picks in the draft. Their own is the 4th. The Carolina one is the top overall pick. So, part of Justin Fields' future could just be tied to that top pick. If they didn't have the top pick, I think everybody would be like, okay, Justin's the guy moving forward. But they could have an opportunity to draft a Caleb Williams out of USC or Drake May out of North Carolina. Those are questions leading up to the draft, and we have a long way to get there. Look, we've talked all season. I'm high on Justin Fields. I think physically he has all the tools you could possibly want in an NFL quarterback. And if he doesn't have success with the Bears and he does move on and whatever happens, I think Justin Fields will have a long, successful career in the NFL. I really do. So you kind of weigh the options, right? Like you stick with Fields, or the idea of maybe drafting a Caleb Williams, who is one of the the most highly sought prospects in college football in a long time. So they have a lot of questions to answer. They do have time to answer those questions. But, man, I mean, sometimes Fields shows you some stuff and flashes, and you're like, this guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, flashes of greatness, just not fully putting all the pieces together
yet.
Right.
Consistency is what Matt Eberflus has talked about. And look, the turnovers were costly. The defense bailed him out. He had a couple opportunities to go up late, turn the ball over. Defense got to stop, and they were able to drive down late. So, look, I think the Bears could be in a really good position if they do stick with Justin Fields and decide to maybe trade that top overall pick again. I mean, think about what they got when they traded the first pick earlier this year. Yeah. They got another first-round pick and DJ Moore, who has over 1,000 yards receiving. So they have a lot of options. Marvin Harrison Jr., receiver out of Ohio State, is a guy a lot of people.
He's really good.
He's very good.
He's just like Dad, better than Dad, maybe.
He might be. Who knows? He's having a great year with Ohio State. So a lot of questions to be answered by the front office, by ownership. Sure. What if they decide to move on from Matt Eberflus and his coaching staff? If they do, I think it's more likely they would take a quarterback because you'd like to sync up the coaching with a young quarterback and all of that. And if you move on from Eberflus and that staff and you stay with Justin Fields, then all of a sudden Fields is in his, 3rd, 4th offense in a matter of 4 years.
Who's out there in the coaching ranks that could be brought over?
So Ben Johnson is a name you're going to hear. He's the offense coordinator for Detroit. He'll probably be the #1 target for head coaching gigs. And Jim Harbaugh's name will continue to come up.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Do you think there's anything that Matt Eberflus can do in these closing weeks to kind of turn around his fortunes or seal his fate?
I'm glad you brought that up because I asked Matt Eberflus last week. I'm like, we keep talking about Justin. What can he do down the stretch to kind of prove to ownership that he's the guy? I was like, what can you do to prove to ownership that you're the guy and the head coach moving forward? Winning solves everything, right? And I think they've got a few winnable games down the stretch here. I really do. They have Detroit a week from today, Arizona left on the schedule, the Cardinals. one more with the Packers as well. I think they got a few more wins, but winning would help his cause, obviously. So,
all right,
we'll see.
Okay.
Thank you so
Enjoy
much,
the bye
Kevin.
week.
You enjoy the bye week.
What do you talk about on your show when you have a bye week? I wonder.
What does he talk about?
There's always Bears stuff to talk about.
There's always something to
Yes.
talk
A
about.
couple weeks ago, I said hi, Kevin, and you talked for 5 minutes. There's no problem
He
there.
loves it. He loves it. All right,
Thanks,
you
Kev.
can
Appreciate
listen
it.
to Kevin on WGN Radio weekdays from 1 until 7, and we'll be right back.